Hey everybody, I have a video here for you today, and I think this is a good one. Now, if you watch my videos, you know that I've gone over evidence that the Sphinx in its original form was Anubis, as we see here. The Sphinx was called the Sphinx starting 2,000 years ago when the Greeks moved into Egypt and started associating the monuments in Egypt to Greek history. And I think that is just the wrong thing to do when you start your research on the Sphinx, is try to tie it into the name Sphinx, because for most of its history it was never referred to as the Sphinx. I have made videos here. I showed how in the only intact tomb found in Egypt, Anubis in the posture of the Sphinx is guarding King Tut's tomb. He was guardian of the dead, guardian of the necropolis, and this little stela in King Tut's tomb describes the scene as the gates of heaven, and Anubis sitting on the box coffin of Orion, and the symbolism isn't any more perfect for the Sphinx being Anubis guarding the pyramids in the form of Orion's belt. In this video, I talk about the paws of the Sphinx being dog's paws. Egyptians got their proportions exactly right. In this video, I talk about an inscription on the front of the Sphinx that was covered up 2,000 years ago that hints of a different history. And most people think it was a lion just because of the name Sphinx. And I'm telling you, that's just a corruption of the original meaning and name of this great monument. And people think it was aligned to Leo 10,500 years ago, so it was a lion. But the truth is, ancient people did alignments only based on the sun to one day. And the Sphinx is aligned to the rising sun on the spring equinox, the day representing resurrection. And Anubis is the preeminent god of resurrection. So I think I have made an extremely strong case for Anubis being the original form of the Sphinx. And I told somebody probably a week ago that I believe 90% it was Anubis and 10% it was a lion. I can't ignore the evidence that it maybe possibly was a lion, but that all falls short with me. But after what I found here last night, I am 99% sure it was Anubis, maybe 99.9% sure now, based on what I found. And I never thought I would really find definitive evidence or something coming from way long ago. I believe the head of the great monument, the dog's head, was taken off about maybe 4,500 years ago, when Anubis was no longer the Lord of Giza, and that shifted to Osiris. So something coming from that long ago, I never thought really definitive proof would be found, but I think I got it. It says in this article, and this is based on a survey, a study of the Giza Plateau done in 1935 by a Dr. George A. Reisner, and I will leave some links below. It says, what should be of unusual interest to all dog lovers is the fact that the Harvard-Boston expedition not so long ago found an inscription recording the burial of a dog named Abuwtiyuw with all the ritual ceremonies of a great man of Egypt carried out by the orders of the king of Upper and Lower Egypt. And I'm going to skip a little further ahead in this article. It says, and this was found just outside the west side of the Great Pyramid, where many tombs were laid out by different dynasties. It says, in examining the burial shafts in the small mastaba, G2188, we noted that one of the lining slabs of the burial chamber built in the filling of the mastaba was an inscribed stone taken from an old chapel and here reused. So we have a tomb here that used some rubble of an earlier tomb in its construction. And this tomb was made 4,300 years ago. So if it used rubble from a previous tomb, something that was just in ruins, I think that there's a great chance it was pre-dynastic. And just the fact that the king of Upper and Lower Egypt, who gave permission for this dog to be buried isn't identified, I think that's a great hint that it was pre-dynastic and maybe coming at a time when the Sphinx was in its original form. But let's take a look at what this 10-line inscription says from this possibly pre-dynastic ruins that was used in this 6th dynasty tomb. It says this: "The dog which was the guard of His Majesty, Abuwtiyuw is his name. His Majesty ordered that he be buried ceremonially, that he be given a coffin from the royal treasury, fine linen in great quantity, and incense. His Majesty also gave perfumed ointment and ordered that a tomb be built for him by the gangs of masons. His Majesty did this for him in order that the dog might be honored before the great god Anubis." And the only reason for that to be inscribed on this piece of this tomb is if there was a giant Anubis shrine sitting out in front of the Great Pyramids of Giza. Hope you thought this was interesting. The Sphinx originally was Anubis. Here we have a king telling us it was. Hope you thought this was interesting. You have a nice day.